If you're a fan of micro-mobility and electric skateboards, well, I got one for you today. This one comes from MAXFIND. It's called the FF Belt. Welcome to the Vapor Trail channel. I'm Tony, and today we're going to be looking at an electric skateboard from MAXFIND. It's called the FF Belt. Now, I found MAXFIND, year and a half, 2 years ago when I first started looking at electric skateboards to buy. I'm one of those guys, man, I will dive deep and I'm reading all the specs and stuff. Even if I don't completely understand them when I start out, I will by the end of it. One of the things that attracted me to MAXFIND is they do things a little bit differently. Like the board looks a little different. It's made from different materials. And we'll get into some of those details a little bit later in this video. But the one thing that really got me is I was like, oh yeah, man, the fact that you can open up a little hatch, take out the battery, put another battery in there, close the hatch, and off you go. Well, that is very attractive. You know, I've got the Revel board kit where you can slide the battery off of it, and I've seen boards like that, but nothing like this. And range anxiety is a real thing, man. If you get out to 15, 20 miles and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't have enough battery to get home, especially on a belt-driven board, which is often a little bit harder to kick push. This one actually isn't all that difficult. But yeah, you can imagine you'd be like, oh man, I got to get home. With this, you could actually carry an extra battery pack in your backpack, or maybe 2 or 3. They're really not all that heavy, and just swap it out. So I like the idea of 2 of them because, you know, you get to the end of one battery, swap it out, and you got enough to get back. It's a really cool idea, and I think maybe their battery bay needs a little bit more work, and we'll talk about that later as well. Ultimately, back then, I went with the Lycon TRX2 because it was belt-driven, and that's really what I wanted. I wanted a belt-drive board, and at the time, all they had was hub-drive boards at MAXFIND. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just my preference at the time. I wanted a belt-drive board. So when I saw earlier this year that they came out with the FF Belt with some nice, powerful belt-drive motors on it, I was like, okay, now that's pretty cool, and I was super stoked when they agreed to send me a board for review. So full disclosure, I did not pay for this board, but as always, I'm gonna give my honest opinions on it. And I'll tell you right off the bat, I do think there are a few things on this board that could be improved. However, at sub $1,000, it's like $899 right now on their website. Probably one of the more affordable boards that has all the features that it has. Not to mention the flexibility of this board, man. It is a nice flexi board, and it's the most flexible board that I have of all my boards. So let's do this. We're gonna show you the website, show you some specs. I'll show you an unboxing, a quick one, just to show you what's inside the box. Then we'll show you some more ride footage, and I'll come back and give you my final impression. Sounds good? So on the website, it says the FF Belt is your dream high-performance electric skateboard with attention to detail in every turn. Exclusive 1500 watt times 2 high-performance belt motor for higher speed and lightning-fast acceleration. I will tell you that's really accurate. The board is really zippy. It's got some great acceleration to it, and the braking on it is super smooth. And that's important to me because I've got some boards where, boy, you hit that brake on just a tiny little bit and it's like, So the top range on it is 25 to 75 miles, and that is if you have the extra batteries. So 25 miles per battery is what they're saying. And usually they're doing these specs in ideal conditions, you know, flat roads, 165 pound rider, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But you know, I average 195 pounds and I've gotten up to 20 miles on it. So there you go. Top speed, 28 miles per hour. I rarely go into 4th gear, but in 3rd gear, I've gotten pretty close to that. I'm not a speed demon though. So, you know, 25, that's about as much as I want to do. For hill climbing, they're saying 35% pitch. I'd say that's pretty accurate, and 3-hour fast charging. So you see in this graphic here, they've got the 1500 times 2 watt power belt motors, a Hobby Wing 9028 FOC ESC, and if you're new to electric skateboards, ESC stands for Electric Speed Controller. Basically the brain of the board. Fast swap battery design, portable handle, which that handle, man, it seems like it's a small thing, but I love it. I love the handle. You know, it makes things a lot easier. However, some of my boards are so heavy that I wish I had a handle on them so I could just drag it along. Picking them up can be a little bit cumbersome, but this board is actually not all that heavy because it's made of a composite material. Like you'll see right there in the middle, Superflex composite deck, double kingpin trucks, 105mm shock absorbing wheels. These wheels look like they're inspired by cloud wheels, but they are nowhere near as soft as cloud wheels. They're 78A, and that's actually pretty hard. These wheels are pretty much like street wheels. Maybe a little bit more shock absorbing than street wheels. I'm probably going to swap these out. However, this board isn't really suited for something like cloud wheel rovers, you know, the big all-terrain wheels or big pneumatic wheels, at least in the configuration that it is. However, I've got these really sweet mad wheels, and that's probably what I'm put on there. They're softer in durometer, they're the same size, so they should fit right on there. They look really cool, and from what I hear, these things are super grippy. I haven't used them yet. They do like to tout on here that they have super comfortable riding experience with these shock absorbing wheels, but more so than the wheels is this super soft composite deck. And this is kind of interesting. It doesn't have traditional grip tape, you know, like sandpaper. It's got this rubber kind of shock absorbing pad on there. I don't know if it really is shock absorbing, but the pad, at first I was a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know, I've never ridden a skateboard without the regular grip tape on it. But it's super grippy and I really like it. It's very comfortable. Not to mention really easy to clean. Yeah, that grip tape can be pretty messy. So the battery is a 12S3P Samsung battery. The Hobby Wing ESC on this is one button on and off. Basically, you just hit the button on the remote and it turns the board on. Sometimes it doesn't do that because the board's been sitting for a very long time. You just hit the button on the bottom of the board and then it'll be all ready to go. So next time you turn it off, it turns off the board. Turn it on, turns on the board. 3-hour charge with the 50-volt UL fast charger, smart BMS battery protection, and a motor protection bracket. Like I say, I've got a lot of skateboards that have that protection bracket on there, and this one just looks really cool. They've really paid attention to aesthetics on this board. And they say that the belt motors on here are the new generation B1 belt motor with a top speed of 28 miles per hour and more torque, can conquer 35% of slopes and handle complex road conditions with ease. Here's a graphic showing you how the battery is assembled, and you know, it's nice that this is a self-contained battery. It's got its own little case to it. Again, 12S3P, and it does have EABS kinetic energy recovery system. So basically regenerative brakes, so when you're using your brakes, it is charging your battery. But you do have to be cautious about that because with any board, if your battery is absolutely full when you leave the house and you go straight down a hill using your brakes, you could have brake failure on that, and you know it's just a form and function of electric skateboards. The double kingpin trucks, they say they're made of a European standard AISIM G5 special material. These trucks look different than other trucks, and well, they are. I'm not sure what the material is and how it's going to hold up over time. Hopefully it does really well. One of the little things that I have with this board is the double kingpin on that. You can't tighten both of those kingpins without taking the entire truck apart to get to the second kingpin. I've tried 3 different T-tools on it and you just can't get to it, so I've just been tightening the top kingpin. So far it's worked. Some people have complained that their bushings are just too squishy, too loose. It hasn't bothered me at all. I haven't gotten speed wobbles or anything. But the deck, this deck is super flexible. It's made of a PPS and fiberglass composite material, makes it elastic and stable. With the wheels lacking shock absorbing, the deck makes up for it, man. You just get a nice little as you go. That's one of the things I like most about it. They've got a nice remote with an OLED screen on it. 4 speeds, it's really easy to use. And apparently this ESC on this is a new generation Hobby Wing 9028 with precise FOC adjustment for more comfortable and smooth acceleration and braking performance. I will say that is top notch on this board, man. Acceleration on it and braking, perfect. So that's it for the website stuff and specs. Gonna show you what's in the box real quick, do some riding, and then I'll come back and give you my final impression. All right, we're gonna check acceleration from a dead stop. Okay, I use this hill often because it's got a couple of variances in it. Near the bottom here, it's really steep, and near the top, it's really steep. Plus, got this view behind me, so that's always nice. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is go ahead and test this. I'm gonna say this is at least 35% grade on this, okay? So let's go ahead and do it. Now that was only in gear number 2, and of course we can go up to gear number 3. I have done that hill in gear number 3 and it zips right up it. I wanted to try it in gear number 2 just to see how it did. Did really good. So something I haven't covered yet is the battery door. Okay, so when I first got this, again, full disclosure, when I first got the board, the battery door was actually sitting right on top of the board like catty corner, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe they do that so they can show you that the door comes off. Well, no, actually the little latch that holds the door closed had broken in shipping. Now, customer service was great. They did get me a new part. You know, they sent me a new part so that I could reassemble my door and get it all together. It took about 2.5, 3 weeks, which is really not all that bad coming directly from China. I reassembled it and got it together. My suggestion for this battery door, it doesn't fit on there like perfectly. I mean, it's definitely not waterproof. Well, I don't ride my electric skateboards through puddles and rain and stuff if I can help it. Little splash on these boards is really not that much of a problem. On this board, you want to make sure that no water gets on top of this board because there is no seal inside of the battery door, as you can see right here. And as you can see, there are some gaps around the battery door as well. You know, if it was me designing this thing, I would have put some kind of seal around there and made sure that that door is really, really snug. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, especially at the price for this board and the abilities it has, but it's something to keep in mind. Again, I live at the beach, so you know, I'm probably gonna get sand in there and stuff. So I'll probably take it apart periodically and clean it out. But if water gets in there, that's definitely not good. So you wanna make sure that you don't get water on top of the board. Also, if I were designing this board, instead of using plastic parts for the latch, I just, small little metal part. That's all you need in there. That little wing nut looking thing, that should be metal. Again, not a deal breaker at all, and it still functions really nicely, and it doesn't affect the way the board rides at all. The double kingpin trucks on here, I haven't had any problem with them. Read up on it, I haven't seen anybody saying that they're fragile or anything like that, so they seem like they'll hold up real well. But dang it, I want to be able to tighten both of my kingpins without having to disassemble the truck. And if I wanted to tighten that bottom one, I'd have to take off the top part of the truck, tighten it up, put it all back together. You know, you get what I'm saying. However, so far, haven't had any problem with wobbles or anything like that, so tightening just that top one seems to be working fine for me. If I get new bushings for this, which I might, well, then I'll go ahead and tighten them all up, you know, perfectly. The wheels, you know, hey, listen, they're better than just like a straight urethane wheel because they do have some tread on them. They're a little grippy, but because of the hardness of these, you want to be careful in any kind of wetness. And also, you know, when you, on the blacktop, when they repair blacktop and they put that tar thing to repair a crack, be careful on those because those can be slippery. Ultimately, the wheels are fine, and you know, you wear out wheels eventually anyways, and when you replace them, I would just put regular cloud wheels on this, or I can't wait to put those mad wheels on here because those are gonna be nice. So yeah, I mean, there are some things that I feel could be improved on this board, but the rest of it is really great. So, you know, look, if you're buying a board that has dual belt drive motors on it and all the features that this one has on it, you're usually talking at least $1,200 to, I don't know, $2,000. But $899, man, totally reasonable. And if you've been looking at electric skateboards, you know that the prices, well, they can be quite high on these things. So for this particular board, the FF Belt, I'd say the value on it is really good. The ride on it is really good. Love the super flexible deck. Love that I can swap out the battery, although I do need to get another battery pack. I've only got one. Love the handle on it. I love the look of this board and the fact that it's lightweight. So there's a lot that I love about this board. And now that you have all the information, you can kind of weigh it out for yourself. If you get a chance to ride one, I think you'd really like it. So that is the FF Belt from MAXFIND, and I want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. Likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, always very important to my channel. So if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, there's a red subscribe button down there. If you click that and the notification bell, you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. Channel's been around since 2013. I've covered a lot of things here on the channel. For the last year, I've been adding this micro mobility, e-mobility stuff, like the scooters, the skateboards, the bikes, solar power, solar panels, solar generators, guitars, things that I have a passion for, and that's really what this channel's always been about. So if you've been with the channel for a long time, I really appreciate you being here. And if you're new to the channel, well, welcome. I definitely appreciate you too. All right, well, I do have my social media down there in the description. If you'd like to follow those, I'd appreciate it. And that is going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.